From the station that made country music famous, 650 AM WSM, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Hi, it's Charlie Manos, and in this episode, we sit down with our longtime friend, funny man, Henry Cho. Henry joined us on our studio hotline as he was getting set to play the Grand Ole Opry. A lot to talk about with Henry. You know, it's been an interesting 2020 for musicians. Think about being a comedian in 2020. Interesting stuff. Enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast with Henry Cho.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
You know, the thing I have missed the most, you hear artists talk about. Well, what I missed the most was playing. You would expect that. But, you know, backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, you miss all that hugging and loving and butt patting on and off the stage and stuff that goes on. And Dan Rogers, executive producer and vice president of the Grand Ole Opry, who had a Halloween birthday, by the way, he said, "We'll have none of that. There will be no more hugging and kissing and carrying on at the podium when they come on or they go off." And I was so looking forward to hugging this guy's neck. Henry Cho joins us, and also tonight on stage at 7 o'clock, we roll with our first Friday since the pandemic, the quarantine that followed the pandemic began. Jimmy Allen, Bill Anderson, who this coming summer, 2021, is going to be celebrating 60 years as a member of the Opry, just celebrated an 83rd birthday on Sunday. Daly and Vincent will be there, Jordan Davis and Larry, Steve, and Rudy, the Gatlin brothers, along with you, Henry Cho. Welcome in, partner.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, you don't touch no butt patting when I walk by you today.
I won't miss that. I always felt like I was kind of in my high school locker room, you know, playing football. You always get that butt pat, you know, coming and going.
That's right.
Yeah. But, Henry, when was the last time artists often... Just earlier, we were reminiscing with Frank Sullivan, the bluegrass winner, not Grammy winner and IBMA award winner, with his new Christmas single, "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." He knew exactly. He said March 8th was the last time I walked off a stage and played to a live audience. He said we've had a couple of social distanced concerts that provided that, you know, we could get out there and play for the fans again. How about the world of comedy, stand-up comedy?
The last real show, full capacity, no restrictions, was February 29th. And since then, I've done a handful. You know, we've done limited capacity. We've done I've done a few virtuals. But I'm telling you, it has I've been doing stand-up 34 years. And to have that just taken away and see my schedule just move, you know, I've been taking on the chin since March. So it's... You know, and you know, when the pandemic first hit, you know, I told Amy, my wife, who you know well, I said, yeah, you know, good news is I'm not booked that much in March anyway because we got 2 different spring breaks, and that kills 3 weekends. So I just kind of had the last weekend of March booked, and then I had April, May, you know, solid, and I kind of take summers off a little bit, and you know, I said, you know, we'll be fine by April. And I didn't know that was going to be April 2022.
Yeah.
But, because it is now November the 6th.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, for many artists, musically, you know, you can do a stream and play a song and kind of imagine applause at the end, and it still sounds and looks good. I would think it's hard to try and be funny without the feedback of laughter. I mean, it's really hard, isn't it?
Henry, I learned so much riding the bus for the USO Opry show that we did in Ohio, and right at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base there. But, Henry, you had it down to a science. I couldn't believe it when you and I were talking. You said, if you're not getting a laugh every, 3-4 seconds or something like it, was an amazingly short period.
6 to 10.
Yeah, 6 to 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. If people aren't laughing, you're not killing it like you should be killing it. Yeah. And I thought, man, this is a science.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, now, and as I told you then, granted, there are some stories that take longer to set up, but as you're setting up, you should throw little bits in so it's not a 30-second dead air. You still got to get some chuckles and some laughs as it's going. That's just the science of, because you got to hold an audience. And the problem we have doing virtual and drive-in shows and stuff like that is, you know, you can check out when you listen to music. You can check out for a whole song or a verse or a few words and lyrics, and you don't really miss anything. But if you miss one word of a comedian, a vital word, you're lost. You have no idea what he's talking about or she is talking about. And so it is totally different, Charlie. You know, these virtual things, what I've done is, you know, they try to unmute everybody, but what we do is we don't mute you unless you're causing a problem, which, you know, a lot of people have. Some people just don't know that they're talking to themselves as they're watching. I guess they do that when they watch everything, and that's been happening. You know, all of a sudden, you know, I'll be saying something, and as I say something, I'll be moving on to the next joke, and one person will be like repeating the punchline I did 8 seconds ago.
Oh yeah, or you have that person who gets it, perfectly times it, but goes over the top with their laughter, and nobody else is laughing quite that loud, and it's like a laugh track.
Right.
Cue the lady with the great laugh over there, and then all of a sudden you start to pick up, and you hear her laughter or his laughter all the way through the remainder of the show. You're kind of going, "Oh, here comes that lady again. She's going to laugh again." Sure enough, she pays it off. So how has all this togetherness with wife Amy been? Have you spent more time together in the months of quarantine than ever before in your marriage?
Oh my God! So we've been married 22 years, and this is the first time I've been home this much. And after the first 2 weeks, it was kind of, she's like, this is kind of cool. You know, I said, yeah, it's not bad me being home. And I guarantee you, day 15, she's like, so when are you leaving?
Don't you have somewhere to go?
So do you really think this is going to go longer than 2 weeks? And I was the same way. So after week 3, and all of a sudden we're not, you know, things are getting canceled, and you know, now we're in week 4, we're in April. I said, okay, I got to figure it out. I said, every weekend I'm going to move to the guest room and make the kids bring me room service. and you and I are going to text and not talk or see each other because you know, one of us, we're going to kill each other. This is not working. I didn't sign up for this, and neither did you.
So what's it been like, the schooling, both is because you have college students in your house, and you have your youngest is in what grade now? She's a freshman in high school. Wow. So how have those two schedules been affected just in the life of Henry and Amy Cho?
Well, you know, my oldest was smart. He stayed in school as long as he could, and he was living off campus. So he showed up in April, and then, you know, it worked out for him. He's in engineering, and there's a program called Co-op where you, if you're lucky enough to get a job, you can work one semester, then you go back to school the next, and you flip-flop. So he had a job. As you know, he's all my kids are super smart because it skips a generation.
Your dad would be so proud to hear that right now.
Well, it's true. People go, man, he's really smart. I go, yeah, it skips one generation. So their kids are going to be idiots like me. But he got a job at a ballistic missile company in Huntsville. So he went to work in May. So he was gone to Huntsville. So that worked out because, you know, he's 20 years old, and you know, and as I tell everybody, if you have a question about anything, call me because he knows everything. He's 20, and he's in college.
So he is a rocket scientist.
He is rocket scientist, right?
That's right.
So,
if von Braun had been Korean,
yes,
rather than German, it may be that they named everything Cho down there in Huntsville, like they did for von Braun. So
yeah, exactly, it'd be the Cho. It'd be Redstone Cho.
Yeah,
but he follows kind of in your footsteps. You said it skipped a generation, laughingly, but your dad was a brilliant scientist in his own right, correct?
Yes, yeah. You know, my mom and dad were brilliant. That's why they got to come to the United States 70 years ago. You know, my parents, they didn't speak any English, and they had to listen to a lecture in college, you know, 8, 9, 10 times to understand one lecture. And one generation later, I'm skipping class.
At the same university?
Yeah, my dad used to get so mad at me. He's like, with your brain, you could have been anything. And I said, look, you moved.
You brought me here.
I go, it's your fault. It's like I always say, I was born here. That's the difference.
Hey, so I got to do, before we wrap up here, I got to know what comedy you're already working on for the current state of the election of the President of the United States.
Oh, my word. Here's the thing, Bill. Every 4 years as a comedian, it's like a gravy train.
They just hand it to you, don't they? Yeah.
Because there's just so much fodder, and you can, and I always went both sides. And just make fun of both sides. Well, it's the country's been so contentious for the last 3.5 years, almost 4 years now, that you couldn't even talk about it. This upcoming election was the first time ever you couldn't even talk about it. So it was almost a blessing that COVID hit, because, people expect you to talk about it, but I've never seen an audience. It was crazy. Like even before the shutdown, I was doing jokes, and like half the crowd, or you knew who was whom, because if I did a joke, one side would laugh, the other wouldn't. And if I did another joke, one side would laugh, and the rest would.
Yeah, right.
Usually
reverse the role.
Laugh because I was making fun of everybody. And but yeah, once we figure out who the next president is, which I guess we'll figure out by July.
Well, normally we should have this in place by January the 20th, yes, which is Inauguration Day of 2021.
Right. But I think it's going to be July 4th. I think we're going to have to wait.
And we're going to ring the Liberty Bell. Henry, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it very much. But you're just like Garth. Garth said, yeah, man, you used to bust each other's chops over your political differences. And now we don't do that anymore. We actually want to throw down. Yeah. It's like, what happened to us? When did we get so mean?
Yeah.
Mention we can catch Henry at the Opry this weekend. You'll also be in Opelika, Alabama on November the 20th, and Zanies, a hometown gig coming up in early December.
Henry, thank you so much. Yeah. I'll see you tonight at the Opry.
Thanks, pal. Don't touch me.
Thanks for listening to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Our program director at WSM Radio is J. Patrick Tittle. Our digital producer is Haley Hall. Marketing and promotions director is Amanda Cannon. And I'm Charlie Matos. If you like what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help new people find the show.